G'day boys, welcome to Stem38, which is the last dot point of the first focus question of your new option of improving performance. And we are looking, the type of training we're looking at to improve an athlete's performance here is skill training. And we look at three different aspects: drills, practice, modified and small-sided games, and games for specific outcomes, which are all, particularly the last two, they're interrelated. So you can have examples that will be pretty similar for those. Now, just firstly, what is skill? Athlete's ability to choose to perform right techniques at the right time, and obviously you want to perform them successfully and with as minimal effort as possible. An example of a skill in the game is sprinting 10 seconds in 100 metres, because obviously the skill in that is that you actually use the right technique to get out of the blocks quickly, and you're up into your stride quickly, and you're running with very good technique in order to minimise the amount of effort that you need to put in, minimise the amount of effort that you're wasting, or even kicking a penalty goal in rugby league. There's hundreds and hundreds of different examples of skills in particular sports. And here we can see the great Hazem El Masri about to kick another goal for the mighty Bulldogs. Drills practice is the first thing we're looking at. So obviously specific activities that replicate the skills used in a sport. So drills, you can have basic drills and you can have really, really difficult drills. Depends on the level of the athlete, what the coach wants to get out of it. There's two things that you need to bear in mind here with a drill. Sometimes drills are just used as a warm-up. You can see here I've said they're a vital part of the warm-up. Sometimes they're a part of the warm-up so that athletes can just sort of physically get ready for the game whilst also mentally get ready for a game or a training session. Other times they're used specifically as skill improvement things. So we're probably looking at this more as a skill improvement situation, where a drill in the warm-up, generally you won't have too much feedback coming from a coach or anything like that, whereas a skill drill during a training session you will, because the specific purpose of that drill is to improve a player's skill. Okay, so that's what we're primarily looking at. So obviously the drills are run by the coaches, players participate in them, but the coaches need to give feedback. And depending on, again, the level of player will determine the sort of feedback that coaches will give. Coaches can also make the drills as closed as possible for beginners or not so skilled athletes, right up to as open as possible in order to achieve success for higher performing athletes, and that would also incorporate or come into the next dot point of the small-sided games. But there's a little example of an AFL training drill, just some hand passing in a square. It looks like there's four of them there, hand passing 3 footies in a square to each other. The next part of this is the modified small-sided game. So these are obviously, as it says, games which are played on smaller fields with fewer number of players with a specific point to them, and it would be to improve a player's skills. So it's opening up the skills. So it would be the natural progression on from the drills. Now we go into a small-sided game, so that the skill can actually be performed in a more open environment and a more realistic game situation. So that therefore we can now introduce the player to not only executing the skill, but executing the skill whilst being aware of defenders, whilst being aware of perhaps what tackle it is, or what how long on the shot clock left in basketball, for example. Just things like that. Just throw in more variables to improve not only the athlete's physical skill, but the ability of the athlete to make a decision under pressure and hopefully improve their vision and their awareness. Small-sided game here in soccer. There's just some rules, and that's teachers. This bit here, where it says teachers, is actually what the game's hoping to achieve. The last point here is games for specific outcomes. So again, this is building on the small-sided game. So it's not dissimilar to small-sided games, but there may be a specific purpose behind the game. So the coach may say, this is a defence-orientated drill. So if we're talking rugby league, I'm not overly concerned with what the attack is doing. I'm just concerned with what the defence is doing. So it just enables players to, again, practice their skills in a more open environment, but with a set outcome, so that we do have a specific outcome. Or coaches can alter the rules of certain games. You can make the field bigger, you can make the field smaller, you can start from a set position in a game to simulate, say if it's rugby league again, simulate a line break so that players are already in positions where they would be, and the coach can then say, go, okay, start the game now, and that simulates a game type situation, which is going to help players with their decision making, tactical awareness sort of thing. And here's the second bit here with the tactical awareness. The coach will often play a game, but they'll instruct a team to lose the ball on a certain tackle. The other team won't know this, and the other team needs to react as quick as possible to go from defence to offence so they can quickly put some plays on. So that's just some more examples of games that are designed to improve decision-making, tactical awareness. So with this particular dot point, you can see if I just go back to the opening slide and the syllabus point, these three items relate very closely. So drills practice, can then lead into the modified small-sided games where you can implement the drill or the skill that you've just learned in that particular drill, and you can implement that in a more open environment. These small-sided games can also be used to achieve specific outcomes. So the skills that you put into play in the small-sided games, you're now putting into play in a game, but you're actually doing it for a specific outcome. So that's the end of Stem 38, fellas. Hope you really enjoyed it.